Right, gonna have another go at fixing these indicators. I never did manage to get them working. I have a three-pronged attack here. I've got the official Land Rover Series 3 workshop manual that garages had. I've got every boy's nighttime reading, the standard Series 3 Land Rover Haynes manual up to 1985, so that should be in. And then I've also got the Land Rover Defender 90 and 110 book from 83 to 2007. So somewhere within this lot I'm expecting to find a wiring diagram that actually pertains to this vehicle. So let's get on with that. Now, there aren't many jobs I dislike on Land Rovers, but anything in there on the Series 3 behind this dash is a nightmare. It only comes out that far. If I take the steering wheel off out the way, that helps, but it's still, there's no room to work, and every time you put your hands in there, you cut the back of your hand. I've got rid of the mouse's nest, most of it. So now let's start hunting. I'm looking for a white wire coming out of the back of the ignition and a light green wire going to the flasher unit. And the flasher unit is in there somewhere. That's a solenoid switch. There's some clips there where it should be. Oh, here I've got it. Right, let's have a look at that. According to this book, which is the official garage owner's manual, I've got a white coming out of the back of the ignition into fuse point number 5, coming out of fuse point number 6. It is then green to the flasher unit. And I've got white coming out of there. Yeah, there's white going into number 5, that's good. And then number 6 coming out is green. Phase 1 complete. And from the fuse is green to the flasher unit, and then coming out of the flasher unit is light green. So I've got green coming out of the fuse, I've got the flasher unit here, and I've got green, pink and brown. Okay, so laugh this really. That's the flasher unit. Actually says on it, flasher. So there's a green, pink and a brown. And coming out of the fuse, little box there, that's number 6. You'll just have to take my word for it. It's tiny, it's written on there. And there is a green wire coming out, along with 4 other green wires. So I'm trying to follow that into the dash and look at the green wires. Oh, right, next plan. Okay, here's the diagram. That W is the white power coming out, which then goes into fuse number 5, comes out of junction number 6, down here. That's G for green, and then you've got the flasher unit, and then after that it's supposed to be light green. And this here is your indicator stalk on your steering wheel, and that's going off to your bulbs. This is what we've actually got. So here's the flasher unit. We've actually got a green and pink and a brown, thick brown one. Thick brown ones are usually power coming from the battery. So let's test that and see if we've got any power to that point. Now, I showed you this little piece of equipment before. Basically earth it somewhere. I just clipped it onto the ignition key there, and then when we put that into the wire we're testing, which is that brown one, if we've got power, we have. It lights up. Okay, so we've got power to there. Now, it's quite possibly it could be a faulty flasher unit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the flasher unit out of the circuit and then connect these two wires directly together, and that will join up the circuit. It may also fry something, but it doesn't work anyway, so what have we got to lose? Right, that's the ignition on, and I've still got no indicators. So what's that is telling us is that our problem is after that brown wire. So we've got to find what goes on with this pink and green and pink one. Right, what I've done here now is I have turned on the hazard lights. Sometimes they can be on a separate flasher unit, but I think on this they're on the same one as the indicators, but they can also be on a different electrical power circuit as well. So it's no guaranteed test. But what this is, that's warm, is a test of whether this flasher unit is actually working. So as you can see there, that orange light is flashing. If I disconnect this, it stops flashing. So that is that flasher unit, and that flasher unit is working. Right, so we've moved forward another step here. We now know there's power there, and we know that the flasher unit's working. And we also know that green and pink one is working because that's the only power going out of here now, but that's working on the hazard lights. But what happens with that is it disappears down into the dash and then into the main loom itself, and I can't follow it. There's another junction in that loom somewhere down there. So we'll then move back to the fuse, where we knew that the power came in for the indicators into, it was a white one, and it came in at point number 5 on the fuse box. So we'll try and see if we've got any power to that cable next. Okay, I've got enough of the connection exposed there. It doesn't really matter, that's a common connection. So if one of these white wires has got power coming to that end of the fuse, then we'll get a reading. So there we are, little red lights come on. And if I come round to the front, that's okay there at that end of the fuse. Now, if the fuse isn't blown, I should still get power, and I have. So now we're back. We now have 2 green ones coming out of there, a thick green one and a thin green one. Let's investigate that. We've got power to those. So we've now got to find the other end. Where do those green ones go to? Let's try and find them in here. Okay, I've found it. As you remember at the beginning, this was listed as green into the flasher unit, coming out light green brown into the switch. So I've gone all around the houses, and I started at the switch to try and find that light green brown wire, which I have found. And it's actually that one there. And when you follow it, it comes round to this relay. And that's a flasher unit there. Currently, I'm thinking that that is a separate flasher unit for the hazard lights. And up in the top here at the back, there are 2 clips to take 2 flasher units like that. And this, let me see now if I can show you the wires. So there's my light green brown I wanted, and there's my green. But I've also got this black one and a green yellow, and I think that they have added something. This is a relay of some sort, relay switch. So I think they've added something, don't know what it is, but I'm going to bed now and I'll have another go at that tomorrow. But at least we found it. back again, feeling confident, and my parts have just arrived from Paddock Spares. Plenty to go at, so let's just get on with it. This is where we're up to. This is a flasher unit. This isn't. This is a relay of switch of some sort. But the two wires we've been looking for are attached to this. So what I'm going to do is disconnect them from here now, the two we want, connect them to this flasher unit and see what happens then. Now on the circuit diagram, that's the flasher unit. That's the green wire, comes into the flasher unit, and you can just make out a little letter there. So the green goes into the letter B and the light green brown goes into the letter L. Here we are at the unit, you can just see there the letter B, and then at the top there, letter L. So that's the green into the letter B. Oops. And the light green brown into the letter L. That's correct. Okay, turn on ignition. Indicator. More indicator. Nothing. Okay. Now there are two types of flasher unit. There is one for the hazard lights, which has to work 4 lights at the same time, and then there's an indicators one which only has to work 2 lights at the same time. So let's see if that makes a difference. Let's have a look at what I've got in stock. Okay, so that's the one we've got in there. I've got one here, that's exactly the same. The number is the same, not much indication. But I've got some modern ones here, and this one nicely says 21 watts times 2. And here's another one that says 21 watts times 4. So that's the difference with them. So let's try this times 2 one in here. That one went into the B, and you can see again that the B and the L are on there. There's B. And there's L. Okay, nothing's happened. Okay, let's try these for power now. All right, so we'll just do this as a test to make sure the tool's working. Yes, it is. So the power in is the green one, and we've got no power into that green one there. So we've got to follow that and find out why there's no power. And the green one goes to this little red light. So that shouldn't be there in the indicator system. So I'm going to disconnect that. I'm trying to find some power on this line. Right, I've had a real route about in here now, trying to find some sort of a green wire that might have some power on it. This looks a bit suspect to me. This looks old at the bottom part, and that looks new. So let's try split that, and that is a plain green wire, and see if we get any power through it. Nothing at that end. Right, that's got power on it. So let's try connecting that to the flasher unit. Still nothing. Well, that says there's no power there now. Have I connected the wrong one? No, there's no power on it now. That's strange. What's happened there then? Right, that's turned into a bit of a dead end. Voltage wise, that's the voltage we're getting through it. So I'm going to put that back together. And I'm going to power this up with my Better House cable. Right, the other end of this is powered up to the positive side of the battery. So I'm going to connect that to the power side of the flasher unit. Okay, and I've actually got some sort of a result here. So when I flick, I've actually got something happening. Well, we haven't had that before. And you can see down there in the mirror that one's working, but it's not flashing. Okay, I'm just swapping around the flasher units now to see if anything makes any difference. This is the old-fashioned one. Oh, hey! Houston, we have a flasher. Work on the other side. There you go. Not down there. And there we are. Right. So all we've got to do now is find power from anywhere to work that. So coming out of that number 6 fuse, we've got 2 connections. That one there and that one there. One of them goes to the wiper motor. If we look at the diagram, so there's number 6 there, 2 wires coming out. That's a green one that goes to the flasher unit, and then down here, that's a green one that goes to the wiper motor. So what I'm going to do now is find out which one is the wiper motor, and then I'm going to reconnect this one to our flasher unit. Right, those are our 2 green wires that come out from the fuse at number 6. One of them goes to the wiper motor and one of them belongs to us for the indicators, but they both disappear off down into the loom. So what I'm going to do now is find out which one belongs to the wiper motor and leave that one alone, and then I'm going to cut the other one which belongs to these indicators and reconnect them to that flasher unit. I'll turn on the wiper motor. She's decided not to. Oh, there you go. You can hear that working. So if I disconnect these one at a time, that's stopped. Ah, right. So that one is the wiper motor. If I disconnect that one, put that one back in. Nothing happens. If I just connect this one again, that should be the... There you go. So that one's definitely the wiper motor. So what we need to do now, put the wiper motor back in. And now we need to connect this one through to our flasher unit. A nice bit of green wire out of my box. Let's see if it works. Because these are live connections in the dash, so that could possibly touch on some metal somewhere. Just got these little shrink plastic things. So I'll cover them over with like that. And that should make it safe then. It won't short out on anything. And same on the other end. Okay, that's threaded through. Oh, there we go. Left and right. Right, that's fixed. Let's check the hazards are still working. Yeah, hazards are working. Fantastic. And as for this thing, that black one is just an earth. I've followed it. So we'll just get rid of that. Don't know what it was. Goodbye. Now, as for all these other ones that were connected to various things, there was a little bit of power in one of them. What I'm going to do is they're all disconnected. I'll just take the three of them together, and then if there is an issue, they'll stand out. You'll have all three of them together instead of them just floating about here, there and everywhere in the back of the dashboard. Like that. That's all safe, and just shove that in there. All right, so we know the circuit's working left, right and left here, because those are flashing. And we've got a right one at the front. We've got a left one at the back. Oh yeah, I went for a drive round the field in it yesterday, and when I came back, this had happened. It's falling out. That's a job for later, because the actual headlamp bowl, as you can see, that's my hand behind it. It's got a hole in it. Okay, we know that one's working. This one isn't, but it did used to work because I fixed it earlier. So we've got to find the lights now, find the wires. So we've got green white, which is on the right, and then green red, which is on the left, and that's the same as you use port and starboard on ships. The red is on the left. So let's work our way through this. So there's my green white going that way on the right, but no sign of a green left. And I just tidied all those wires up, and it looks like it's going to be buried in here somewhere. So I'm going to have to undo these wires again. Start checking connections. What have we got here? Let's start here. Right, we're looking for power again now, so we're back on this little thing. So we find an earth. That looks like a good one there. And then to test if it's working, take that over to the positive, and yeah, we've got a good earth there. So now we're looking for power. So that green wire there is the one that goes to the indicator, and that's the power that comes out. So we might be lucky and we can test it here without pulling everything apart. The flash then, and that's flashing on and off. That's great. Connect that back up. Let's try this. Back in there. Oh, here we go. Look at that. It's not good, is it? New bolt. Okay. Okay, this is the one we had an issue with this one. So let's test the earth to this. And there, I'm on continuity down there, 20k. I connect to the earth up here. And then test the earth down here. It's still on 1. Oh, there you go. Right, so that's okay to there. We've got earth, but no power. I think the little units had it. Yeah, it was dodgy, this one, so I'm going to have to put a new one of those on. Power's not getting to there, probably rusted away. Do. Neither of the indicators are working at the back. I've powered up the circuit. I've got power here. I've got 12 volts there. Do that. But I think the bulb holders have had it, and need to replace them, but as long as the light, as long as they're working at the front, that'll do. Oh, there you go. They are right. So that's the indicator bulb is actually working there. I'll plug that back in and keep going. Okay, I'll give you a quick overview of how these things work. So that little dot right down there in the middle, that's where the power comes in, and that acts on that little bit on the end of your bulb. And this part here, it's screwed through there, and that earths into the bodywork, and that touches on the side of the bulb. So what I've tested there now is I've tested this and I'm getting power through into there, but I'm not getting an earth here. So I'm going to, on this one, instead of replacing it, I'm going to try and take that part out, give it a clean up, put it back on and see if I can get it working. Hey, it's fixed. Now this one's working, but there's a screw still stuck in that hole, or what's left of a screw. Now, if you get exactly the right size screw, this is an 1.6" wood screw, you can sometimes get them to re-thread into the plastic that's left there. Sorted. Right then, let's give it a whirl. Right hand indicator. Left hand indicator. Hazard lights. At last. There you go, indicator's working, hooray, I win. I'm quite amazed that there's so much material there that I can do one video from it. I hope you found it engaging and learned something along the way. I know I certainly have learned some new things I didn't know before. And I hope for those of you who are worried about getting involved in the electrics, that it's given you the confidence to go forwards. Because it really isn't expensive to set yourself up. You need one of these for testing for power. That'll cost you about £5. A multimeter for testing continuity mainly, but you can also test for your power there. and you can get one of those easily for less than a tenner. And then this will cost you nothing, which is a piece of household cable. I put crocodile clips on the end of it, so I can get a live and a negative directly from the battery anywhere I want around the vehicle. But most of all, what you need is time and a lot of patience. See you next time.